Ladies and gentlemen, if you like to coach or play doubles at a high level, then you need to listen to this episode. I have a very special guest today. He is currently the coach of, I'm sure you've heard of, career high #1 in the world in doubles, Jamie Murray. Alan MacDonald, Ali Mac, appreciate your time. How are we?
Hi, James. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to this. We don't get a chance to catch up as often as we should, but looking forward to spending some time with you on here.
One of the actual best things about this is now that I live in the US, coming from Scotland, is I've actually lost a lot of my Scottish accent. So to have this conversation with Ali Mack here and get some of that accent back is going to be quite good. So thank you.
How long now, James, for you over in the States?
We have been in the States since 2009. So
yeah, okay. Let me just tell you, you're doing very well with the accent. There's some absolute shockers out there, as you know.
Yes.
Jacob Burnley springs to mind. I don't want to throw him under the bus, but he struggles. Johnny Mac, do you see that? John McEnroe called him out for it in the post-match interview at the Aussie Open. So where's your Scottish accent, mate?
So if you are British, you know Alan MacDonald. If you are not British, he is the best doubles player you've never heard of. I think many people can agree with me on that. He is sitting there repping the East of Scotland tennis from Edinburgh. Ali Mac, I don't think people truly know how good a doubles player you actually are or were. So,
well, appreciate that, and we, for context, we played on the same team quite a bit together. Like you're good sort of, what are you, 91 birthday? You're like 12 years younger than me, but we played some men's teams together, and I didn't really ever coach you. Been away on a few trips with you when you were a junior, but sort of known you for a long time. So yeah, it's been great to catch up a bit.
Yep, and we're catching up right now, so this will be fun. So let's delve in, shall we? Ali Mac, you are currently coaching Jamie Murray. He is ranked number 48 in the world in doubles. One of the biggest reasons that I wanted to get you on here was with my background in college tennis. Doubles is extremely important. If you have a good team, it means for the most part you play very good doubles. And I wanted to get you on here to really talk about your experience with Jamie, but also coaching doubles at the highest level on the professional tour. So just to start off, Ali Mac, the first question I have for you is, it's in regards to training. It's in regards to practice, right? Say you are at home and you have 2 weeks off and there's no travel. What does the training look like for a doubles player? What are you doing? If you can be as specific as you possibly can. Obviously, there's not really any singles going on here. What does your coaching and what does a training look like for one of the best doubles players in the world?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, let's be specific to Jamie first, and then maybe can take a few sort of more general points out of that. But for Jamie, usually going to train when he's not on the road. He's going to train probably an hour and a half to 2.5 hours a day tennis. His physical side will be on top of that. He'll do 1 or 2 sessions. Usually try and do one longer session, so like an hour and a half to 2 hour session, and just get it all done in one go. And he's been playing doubles for a long time now, and he's kind of got his routines and his ways of doing things. So he'll always have certain things that he wants to get done, that he needs to feel like this is the stuff that is happening the most often in matches, that is the most important to me to perform well. So that'll be a lot of it based around his net stuff. So his kind of his volley skills, not just in a kind of wall position where he's he's kind of getting rhythm with his volleys, but attack, neutral, defense, which is a huge part of the kind of system that Louis Caillé, his coach from way back, has kind of drilled into him, is that you're not just kind of training to be doing kind of general skills. There's specifics around like phase of play, attack, neutral, defense that you need to cover. So he'll be doing a lot of stuff close to the net, ball coming fast to him, fast hands, keeping his hand out in front, deflecting the ball, but then also defensive skills could be being attacked from a mid-court ball when he's the net player, or being attacked by the net player on the other side. There's so many different situations that you can be in attack, neutral, defense on the court, and that's again a big part of Louis' influence, is making sure that like you can't specifically go, okay, you don't have time to go, you're serving volleying and you hit first volley and they attack you poaching, or we'll set up another situation where your receiver partner and this and that. You could get into like 200, 300, 1,000 different situations where you're trying to think of everything that could possibly happen. It's more about developing those skills for Jamie that he needs. So like I was saying, hand in front to deal with the pace. If he's got more time to be more offensive, he's going to use more body, more arm, a lot based around his agility at the net. So obviously, if we're talking about a sort of typical session, he would start at the baseline and warm up and do some ground strokes and cross courts. Again, move into, once he's warmed up physically and warmed up his shots, he'll do a bit of attack, neutral, defense. So he could be, moving onto the ball and trying to use his body to attack it. He could be getting a tough skidding volley that he has to get under it and use his hands more to spin it. He could be, being attacked from the baseline. He could be being attacked from the net player. He could be, attacking with power, with precision. Lots of different areas that he needs to be sharp in. And then once he moves into his volleys, he'll do his kind of general volleys from the wall position, kind of more neutral. And then he'll do some stuff where he's finishing the point, being more offensive, and also being more defensive, and also his first volley. So this is where I think everything I've said so far could be transferred to almost anyone and would be useful for doubles. But now we're talking about a world where if you're talking about first volley, then there's some amazing doubles players out there who don't really have a first volley because they don't serve and volley. So it's kind of an art that is not necessary for everyone anymore. Whereas 30 years ago, if you said I don't practice my first volley, and I'm a doubles player, then you'd get kind of laughed out of town. So it's and for like thinking to you actually, like you probably serve and volleyed 100% first and second, like when you were from 15, 16 up.
Absolutely.
And actually, when you've got good volleys, like it's not the absolute strongest part of your game, but if I was coaching you now, I would 100% not be having you serve volleying 100%.
Interesting.
Because the sort of British doubles system that Louis has introduced and sort of pioneered here, because a huge part of it is tactical unpredictability.
Sorry to interrupt you here, Maka.
Yeah.
Can you just explain to everyone who you are referring to with Louis, please?
Okay, so Louis Caillé, he's originally from Montreal in Canada, and he wasn't a high level pro tennis player. He's more of a sort of recreational club player, but a very smart guy, university background, moved into coaching, and just really sees things from a sort of fresh perspective. And so he moved up through sort of doing very well in clubs in Canada, moved into federation. He was Davis Cup captain. He developed a bunch of Canadian singles and doubles players. So like the idea that he's just a doubles coach is actually kind of not always the case. Like he was involved in Greg Ruszewski's development, Daniel Nestor, he was very involved with, who was a very good singles player as well, etc., etc. And then around sort of 2000, he basically he started to spend a lot of time in London and then live in London through his relationship with his now wife. And when Judy Murray was looking for the right person to really develop Jamie and give him the skills he needed to go as far as possible in the game, she basically researched who would be the best person and discovered that Louis was that person, but also that he was in Britain. And so he was employed privately initially by Judy and Jamie, and also worked with Colin Fleming initially, another Scottish player. And then the LTA realised how good he was and started to bring him in more formally. And now he's been there for 20 years doing not just doubles, but coach development, working with singles players, a lot of different stuff. He's like a basically super coach, and he's kind of I've had the chance, luckily, to spend a lot of time with him the last kind of 10 years, working with Jamie, which has been great for me.
So going back to what you said, by the way, Ali, Mac, is college coaches that are listening to this are going, I can't tell you how much this will help them, right? But how specific you are being when it comes to warming up volleys. You bring up attack, neutral, defense. What exactly does that look like? Is it a different footwork? Is it a different positioning with your hands? How long are you doing that for, and what does it look like?
It's usually, well, the sort of neutral part is usually more like rally kind of situation. So Jamie would always do that part, or not always, but he tries to do it with the baseliner in the corner. And even better, there's a baseliner and a net player against him, and he'll play in the cross-court position and the down the line position and move between them quite often. So he's still being physical and kind of feel like he's moving and kind of having a match kind of intensity. But he's just looking to get a realistic kind of situation where the ball's getting hit properly at him. He's hitting to the right targets, which means, one thing that I think actually is really useful for any doubles coach, which I've fallen prey to and kind of try and avoid it, is when especially if you've only got two people training, and you're doing this kind of drill, is the volleyers feeding the baseliner. Like they stand in the corner and every volley goes back to them, and it's good
Right.
volleying and it's accurate, but it's not training your patterns of, like, if you're playing against someone at the baseline, they obviously often have a partner, but you can isolate them by moving them as well. So you're not going to just play into their backhand corner and then just keep volleying it to them. Then you can play through the middle, and then if it comes back to you, angle off the court, and you create these patterns. So he'll be volleying neutral, like purely neutral only for a little bit, like up the middle almost. He might just do that to just get timing, and then he'll put me or whoever's hitting with him in the corner and start to work them around a little bit, and just make sure they've got the right trajectory. That's another huge. That's maybe the most important part of Jamie's volleying, aside from having the right physicality, the right athleticism, being low, and keeping his hand in front, hand to ball, is like making sure the trajectory of his shots is good. Because if you're always volleying low over the net, and finding that trajectory where you're not like popping the ball up, then it's going to be consistent, but also it's going to be hard to attack. So even if you're volleying with less speed, if it's low over the net, then you've still got a good chance to do something with it.
How long is he doing drills like that for?
He'll do his volley stuff probably, like, he likes to keep it like to move on to different things fairly often, so that it's not kind of getting too samey, and like to keep it fresh. As I said, he's been a doubles player on tour for like almost 20 years now, so the training can be not boring, but it can be a bit repetitive. So like you'll probably do that for like 10-15 minutes, and then maybe do some smashing, and then move on to serve. Do serve for 5-10 minutes for after he's warmed up, trying to make it realistic. Serve to spot, go to his first volley, so he's got his momentum. because again, that's something that and he's fallen foul of a couple of times. Is like when he's looking to develop his serve and like feeling like his serve's a real priority for him, that can get a bit easy to just stand at the line and hit, 100 serves in a row and feel great with it, but you're not like serve and volley movement. So like, and then you go and play some points and you're like rushing it or falling into it or tossing it too much more in front or whatever it is. So like trying to keep that realism is huge. And it makes it more fun as well, I think, as long as you've got that.
Again, I have an agenda sometimes for these calls, and I completely go off it because genuinely what you're saying is so interesting to me anyway. And if we've lost you because you don't like doubles, sorry, this is what this is going to be about. This is going to be about relentless doubles. So here's a question though. You are coaching one guy. You're coaching one doubles player, right? Put yourself as a college tennis coach in the US, and you've got nine. You've got 9 guys or 9 men or 9 women on your team. What's the best way to do that? Is it 6 on a court and you're feeding? Is it 1-on-1 for 10 minutes, then all together? Is it coaches take those? How would you set that up if you were coaching doubles for a college tennis team?
That's a brilliant question. I mean, I think first of all, I'm sure like the college coaches who are really switched on to it have this anyway, but like this idea of having your system, whether that's like what Louis does or what you've come up with yourself or you've learned from someone else, having a system is super important that you can teach to your players and that they buy into. And then, if you imagine you've got your 9 players, if you can take this one player here and he or she can play with any of the other 8 players and they all know exactly what they're trying to do on the court, what the system is, where the positions are, what your philosophy is going to be, then after that you can start to tailor it more to the individuals, because a huge part of it is playing to your strengths. So like, let's say you and I play together, like you might want to have you being at the baseline and me at the net more often. So like it's not like, oh, we both have to play exactly the same way and both serve and volley all the time or do this or do that. Like some guys have better serves, some guys want to stay back, some guys want to come in. So within the system there's lots of scope for playing to your own strengths, and that's a huge part of it. So I think in terms of the training, what you can take from what Jamie does is, let's get, because more than singles, probably doubles is there's things repeat quite often. Like the first 4 shots of the rally, there's a lot of situations that repeat and that you can train for that happen again and again. So I think understanding based around like what your players' strengths are, like how to train realistically for those things that happen the most in the match is really important. And a lot of that will be like your cross-court situations, your down the line rally situations. There's a lot of 1-up, 1-back these days, even at the kind of top level. So I think like finding a way to get volume in that, but also remember that serve and return is huge. So like you've got to take care of your serve if you're going to be a good doubles player. And then the converse of that is the better you can do to kind of neutralize first serves and get balls in play and find a way to win extra points on return, then it becomes like a really good package. So it's I think those elements, how to work those into the sessions and still keep energy and focus and enjoyment is really big. And I think you can do it because like everyone is going to get attacked at the net in a doubles match, unless you're like, there's a few like ladies teams out there who are actually almost like winning slams, staying both back on serve sometimes. Okay, so like in the past I would just say, well, that's ridiculous, but it's just
Works.
something that they're doing that works. That okay, that's a new thing that works for them. Fine, they're playing to their strengths. You know, if you don't want to have one player off at the net to get teed off at, then that's tactically smart.
Mhm.
And like you look at Sarah Irani. I'm singling her out because her serve is so slow, but like she is unbelievably good at everything else. Like she's such a good tennis player, and she's got this one weaker area, but she's managing it. Like she and Vavasori won US Open mixed against all those singles players. Like you think, you know, her serve against Taylor Fritz or whatever is going to get absolutely munched, but you know they make it work. And she's winning a ton of women's double slams as well. So it's just, I think it's quite good to have this, always have this concept that you're, for doubles, like you're training to your strengths. You're trying to learn the positioning and the territories that you need to know to be in the right place to force your opponents to play low percentage shots, which is a huge part of Louis' kind of philosophy. Is like you're not really out there to beat them playing lights out tennis. You're just making them beat themselves by squeezing their spaces and making them feel so much pressure from your positioning and your choice of shot, and also by being tactically unpredictable, having tactical variation. So that's what I was sort of mentioning about if I was coaching you, not because you didn't volley decent, but because you need to be tactically. It's better to be tactically unpredictable. Like if you come in on and serve and volley on every second serve, then eventually you just start to have to pick everything up off your shoelaces, and it's too much pressure, it's too much stress. Whereas if you're like 40% stay back and 60% serve and volley, then there's a bit of uncertainty about, well, is he coming in? Is he not? Am I hitting deep? Am I hitting short? Am I taking pace off it to drop it to his feet? But then he stayed back and he's crunched the next shot, you know, and also understanding how to use I formation, understanding when to switch between first serve, second serve. It's really interesting the tactical considerations of like what are we actually trying to do with first serve and second serve? Where am I trying to put the ball? Where am I trying to put my partner at the net? Where do I want to move to give us the best chance to start the point well?
I think the biggest thing I'm hearing for coaches out there in the US is don't try and make your player someone they're not. If they're really good at something, then coach that and put them with the appropriate partner to allow them to do that really well.
Yeah,
it's such a good point.
Yeah, and I mean I love playing with guys who got big serves and can smash it around to the baseline. You know, because like I love being up at the net, so that's a good combination. Like the only issue with that is if there's not a certain level of like competence on the net stuff. Like I've got a pretty bad serve, so there's more likely they'll have to deal with tougher balls when I'm serving. But it's just all these considerations when you're looking at putting teams together, and sometimes like two like pure doubles players together, both serving and volleying, both coming in, both trying to be at the net. It doesn't work as well as, you know, a combination. Like there's teams out there in the men's at the moment, like it's kind of changing. The style of doubles is almost evolving again because there's guys who aren't like traditionally amazing volleyers. Like they don't really have a first volley, but they're good at service partner because they get like that close to the net and just knock things off. And they're comfortable and they're brave and they don't mind the ball coming fast at them. And their partner serves big and maybe even stays back. And so if the ball goes over their head, then the partner's behind them to give it a crunch and off you go. So I think just going back to Louis for 1 second, like that's where he was really great, is that he didn't kind of, maybe because he didn't play like super high level, but he didn't like just go along with what was sort of normal or this is conventional. Like he's kind of tried to tried to see, what maybe could be improved. And also he actually looked at what top players were doing, which are not coaches, they don't always do, which that was a big lesson for me. Is sort of like Louis got videos of players from the 1930s like hitting open stance forehands, like quite modern looking shots. But then the same player, whoever it was, like Fred Perry or someone, doing a coaching clinic and teaching like side on and hand to target and all that sort of stuff. And like there's a guy who was doing something quite modern, but the convention of coaching is totally different. So like the other story I need to mention actually that I saw yesterday randomly was Jimmy Arias, the US ex-player and now commentator, who was like one of the first like guys with a modern forehand, like sort of the grip, the rotation, the open stance, all that stuff. And he said that when he was like junior, he got a lesson from the guy who was an ex-pro who kind of told him all this sort of stand side on, hand to target, hold the finish like this. And his dad, who was a mathematician but not a tennis player, after the lesson he came off the court and his dad was like, "That's the biggest load of nonsense I've ever heard in my life. Like, if you stop your racket here, then how can you be accelerating when you're hitting the ball? And like you got to use more rotation. You've got to use your left arm to turn your body, and you've got to keep your racket up to then have momentum when you hit." And like he wasn't kind of constrained by convention of what had gone before. He was just like, right, this is what you need to do. And then he developed his son into a top player with this shot that everyone started copying. Like Bollettieri used it as the blueprint for what he would do with his players at the academy.
Very interesting stuff. Just remember, Maka has 2 young kids, but he has time. So if you ever need some doubles for your team, don't be afraid to give him a call. I'm on permission. I will pass on his number. All right, here's a question for you. The number 1 doubles player in the world right now is Lloyd Glasspool. He's playing with Julian Cash, right?
Yeah.
If they played against Novak Djokovic and Rafael Nadal in their primes 10 times in doubles,
yeah,
who wins? Wins out of 10 times?
I mean, that's a fun question. I think it depends a little bit on the situation. Are we saying that Novak and Rafa, they're fully into it, like Davis Cup style?
Yeah.
Final of a master, they've bothered to like get all the way to final, and they're going for it.
They're going for it.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go 6-4 to Novak and Rafa.
Interesting.
Like the 2 of the 3 or 4 best players of all time, and the Rafa won a lot of doubles titles. Got it. And
Why?
Just got that competitive fire, doesn't he?
So you go back to the partners. You're talking about putting yourself in the right partners. Why are these guys the best doubles players in the world? What do they have? Is it the partnership? Is it the relationship? Is it their first serve? Is it just talent? What, I guess my question is there a perfect partnership that you want to put together?
Yeah, so I think in that specific case, what they've got to their advantage, not to take anything away from them, but they've come into this kind of British doubles environment where they've got these role models who've already done it, like people that they know that, like it makes a big difference. Like, as you probably know from like your junior days as well, like if someone that starts to do well, and hang on, I'm not like way worse than them, or I can compete with them, but I didn't think I could compete with that guy who I thought was on a pedestal. But you just kind of get this belief that you can do it, and I mean, I keep going on about him, but like Louis is brilliant at that, is giving people belief that they can do something. Like you'll have either stats showing this is where you need to be, or this is what you have done so far, but you also then can, like, because he's very very good coach, obviously. Like, he can then bridge the gap between where you are and where you need to get to. And he can really sell you that he's got the vision of where you can get to, and you kind of, even if you don't never quite had that belief or vision, like, he can take you there. And those guys, like, their strengths as a team, like, they're an unbelievable serving team. They've both got great serves, and they're both really good close to the net, and they also are good athletes getting back to the smash. So it's like horrible sort of pressure, stress playing against them when, you know, they're rolling through their service games. You're hitting okay returns, but they're just knocking off point over. You know, they're hitting their spots. You're not getting chances, and then suddenly, you know, neither of them are like world class consistent returners, but Julian's kind of getting a lot of balls in play with his lob, and he can have a cut at his forehand and hurt you there. And Lloyd can be a bit streaky, but he can really, like, he's got very good backhand, and he's kind of he's got a good forehand lob, can rip his forehand sometimes. Like, when you're playing guys who aren't necessarily amazing returners, but they've got that serving side just locked up, the pressure just builds. And when they went on that amazing run in the summer, like, initially they were just kind of rolling through matches, like, serving really well, holding, you know, 92+% or whatever. And then just finding a way to break, because when you're holding all the time, you play with confidence on return. And then they started to, when Lloyd got to number one, they won like so many tie breaks, because I think off the back of that, just there's so much confidence there and belief that you're going to get it done. And I think we all know that kind of feeling at whatever level we're at, of when you're winning, it breeds more winning. But there's lots of different ways of kind of putting together that kind of team that you're talking about that works together. But I think in the men's side, like, for example, Pavic and Aravalo are a bit different. Like, Aravalo's a bit more limited as a volleyer than Lloyd or Julian, but he can be close to the net and put it away, and Pavic's got a good lefty serve. Aravalo, great competitor, like, good from the baseline, athletic, big serve, you know, like, there's different ways of making that sort of perfect team. But I think most of the teams that in the men's who really do well, like, the serve is the key factor. Like, different ways of taking care of your serve, whether that's having a cannon or being amazing first volley or having a great service partner. But you have to get your kind of 90% plus holds to really do well.
So, for college coaches out there that are looking at British tennis players, I think it's pretty common that a lot of Brits are very good at doubles coming into college, because there's a lot of events and tournaments in the UK that are involving doubles. Like, for example, County Cup, County Week, you know, playing on Wet Astro on a Tuesday night for your club. Like, doubles is a massive part of British tennis. So I have a question for you, Maka, in regards to, are you able to share, I vaguely remember this, but are you able to share what Louis Caillé does with the rope on a double court, and how he shows people angles of trajectory based on the rope?
Yeah, well, I'll describe it a little bit, but you can definitely find it on YouTube as well. If anyone is interested, you can search Louis Caillé doubles and loads of stuff comes up, and there's definitely some rope action in there. But essentially, again, this is how Louis kind of sold his theories to top players. You know, like, he's not a player, and he's trying to tell Daniel Nestor, like, where to stand on the court. To do that, you need more than just a sort of authority of, oh, I used to be a great pro, because he didn't have that. He needed proper facts. And he went through the same process with the British players, which is basically, I wish I had a whiteboard or something, but basically he's got a rope. It's basically two ropes that have a point here that they're connected, and he can create angles on the court. So if let's say I'm hitting from what's down here, like, this is the ad side, hitting that way. Okay, so ad side hitting from the corner. Here's the tram line. I can hit cross court that way or down the line, and then obviously the ropes show the sort of extent to which the ball can travel, and then the territory that you need to cover as the player. And actually, when you do it, you'll see it if you watch Louis' much better version than I just did. The places you move to again are like they're not very sort of intuitive. So you like, for example, when you're poaching on a wide serve, you don't need to cross the center service line, which because we hear the word crossing, then we always feel like we have to move further. So it gives you confidence. Again, it's another thing that gives you confidence that you're doing the right thing and that you're making court as small as possible for your opponent by getting into the right place. And it's really interesting because I think he had a lot of pushback from some of the players initially in Britain of kind of like, you have to be kidding that I need to stand there, I need to stand there. And then he had to get the ropes out to show, the sort of angle to geometry doesn't lie. And then obviously the players buy into that, and then they start to win more matches, and then they're fully sold. And then eventually for him, like he doesn't really have to prove that much to people anymore when he's telling his players like do this or do that, because they're not going to go, oh, you need to prove that to me, because they know that he's got the answer, which again, as a coach, is something to aspire to, isn't it? If you can kind of get the trust of your players like that, then it's really good. But I definitely recommend just getting on YouTube, because there's I noticed that recently there's quite a few clips of Louis doing conferences, or he had a doubles video that he put out in Canada originally, which has all the rope stuff in it. It's really good.
You coached Jamie Murray to #1 in the world. Well, you were definitely coaching him at that time. You've coached him for a long time. When he's playing his best, or when he is at a level of #1 in the world, what's he doing very well on the court?
Yeah, so he's like, as sure anyone who knows has seen him play, like I know he's not like a power player. So like his weapons are a bit different from like the ability to sort of blast through people. And I think the big thing that I mentioned before that is within that kind of British double system that he really embraced. Maybe took him a while to embrace it, but is the playing to the strengths, i.e. like not thinking that he had to hit a hard forehand or big forehand, but that he could use his block and his slice and his chip and his lob more to create that tactical uncertainty in the opponents that's going to create stress, pressure, unpredictability. So if he's predictable, then he's kind of dead, because he's not just going through you. He has to go around you and outwit you a little bit.
Unpredictable.
Yeah. And it's true up to almost, at any level. Like maybe there's some guys who can serve well enough and big enough that it doesn't really matter what they do after the serve. If they never call a poach or never change what they're doing, then they can get away with it. But for everyone else, it's really massive. And that counts in serve and return. So like as I talked about there with the return, like he'll use his chip lob, or he'll block it low with his backhand. He'll do different things with his forehand, where he can hit his sort of short inside out angle, or lob it, or put a bit more patience at turning it down the line, and just getting loads of balls in play, and just keeping that constant pressure on the opponent. And then with his serve, it's the same thing. Not obviously serving as a lefty, you can get quite predictable, but you need to just get the balance right, where everyone hates returning lefties, so you use that strength, but also you've got different spots you can hit and different plays you're going to do. So that's huge for him. When he's playing well, he's unpredictable, and he's really kind of, the big focus is not so much technical or sort of intellectual. It's more like the passion. When he's really playing well, like he's done all the work in the practice court, and then he just goes out and competes and plays as a performer, a competitor. And I think that's another thing that is really, really important for players to understand, is like, and coaches, I guess, is that once you get out in the court, like that's the most important part. Like you can't. It's like trying to play golf and trying to fix your technique mid round. It doesn't work, does it? You got to, what you go on the court with is what you've got, but then you've got to bring the energy, and focus, the passion, and go into it.
Just so everyone knows, Jamie Murray's UTR, he has a 14.48 doubles rating right now. Thought that was quite interesting. Right.
I wonder what do you want to check? Do you want to check Lloyd?
Lloyd, let me see.
Because like the top guys in singles are like 16, right? Roughly. I think Jamie's been close to that in doubles.
Actually, I don't want to check right now, just in case it messes anything up. Not the most typical.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'll definitely let you know. Right. There seems to be a lot of noise out there. Singles versus doubles players. And,
Here we go.
Yeah. The exhibition at the US Open, and doubles players not getting the attention they deserve. And I'll stop there. I'll let you do the talking.
Yeah.
Tell us what's going on out there on the ATP tour.
Yeah, so I mean, I obviously am a bit biased on this, but first of all, I think like it's always going to be like singles. It's always going to have more attention, more money, more everything, and like rightly so. They're the ones who bring in more attention, and there's some unbelievable players out there right now still, even after Nadal retired, and Djokovic is probably not going to be around for that much longer. There's this next generation coming, and I think the sort of doubles side of things, it's amazing to have the singles players involved in the top singles players. So like they're always trying to find that balance where they can get top singles guys involved in doubles, because that's like the ideal, because you get really interesting clashes of styles and great matches. And also the tournaments, they do essentially need doubles. Like if US Open didn't have doubles, then they wouldn't have anything to put on the outside courts and from like the second Monday probably, or even the Sunday. So like they have to kind of coexist together. The mixed double at the US Open, I think it did piss people off a bit, the doubles players, because I mean, I personally think it's a really good idea. I thought they could be just as successful, and they could still have the normal mixed in the tournament, in the normal 2 weeks of the tournament. But I think their idea is that they want to keep developing it and make it like properly prestigious. Like this is the mixed doubles. Like they want to have that prestige. So fine, that's their call. But I think rightly, the problem that the doubles guys had was, apart from Vavasori and Irani, and maybe one or two of the women who play doubles and singles to a high level, there's no access. Like there's no way to get into that club, and to call that a Grand Slam championship just seemed a bit, especially when it's going to fast four, and there's a few matches on the first day where I don't think this certain players were really in it to win it for the long haul. They were there to make the event better, and a responsibility to kind of I mean basically appearance fees, like they came and did their stuff. So I think whatever that looks like they should be giving access to more doubles players to get involved in that, because I 100% guarantee that, having sat at the side of courts watching doubles matches in America, especially America, Britain, maybe the most of anywhere, like the punters will love doubles.
Mm-hmm.
And the punters are playing doubles. If they're tennis players, that's what they're playing in their clubs. And we want, as spectators, we want to see these clashes of styles and these great matches, and you're more likely to get that with Taylor Fritz playing Mate Pavic and Gabby Dabrowski than you are if you have Fritz and Andreeva playing Opelka and another singles player. It's that clash of styles that makes it for me. And I think that just the fact that it was kind of almost a closed shop was a bit of an issue. And I think they're probably aware of that, and that, especially because the one genuine doubles team actually won it. I think they might kind of look at finding ways to make that a bit different next time. Because it's definitely here to stay. That event was a huge success. I just think it could be even better, and I think like you quite often hear, like the single players are way better tennis players and doubles players, and on occasion there's a lot of truth to that, but it's a very different sport. It's not like the old days when all the singles players were serving and volleying in their singles matches, and then they all play doubles as well. And it's a similar discipline. It's much more split now. Like single players, the best single players probably generally have great serves, great returns, so automatically you're decent at doubles. But you can still get exposed by the kind of full timers. So I think, yeah, there's a lot of kind of issues around just where the balance point is on the doubles v singles. But I think it'd be a huge shame if it just kind of got scrapped completely, which I think quite a few ex pros and current pros kind of talking about it in those terms.
I'll be honest. I used to watch so much tennis purely. Well, it all started obviously because of Andy. I remember exactly where I was when he won Wimbledon the first time, and then I remember exactly where I was when he won Wimbledon the second time. And obviously, huge role model, hero. But now, I don't really watch tennis that much. But I'll say this: if there was a court level camera of doubles, I would watch that.
Mm.
I would really enjoy seeing how they're actually playing.
And that's the thing though. Like talking about the spectators loving it, like it makes a big difference to be at the court side, seeing the speed and the reactions of the players. Because I mean, like, I'm not going to pretend that doubles doesn't have a few issues, because like I don't really, unless I'm got a real interest in the players involved, or I'm doing it for scouting purposes or something, I don't really like watching men's doubles that much unless it's particular like type of style where there's more balls going into play and some guys are staying back, some guys are coming in. You get a few matches where it's sort of serve, miss return, serve, miss return, serve, return, volley, put away, like quick points, and the time in between the points needs to be cut a bit as well, I think.
Well,
I think there's a few things they could do, but I don't think anyone's really driving that kind of stuff in the sort of ATP or ITF to let's really change and do something with doubles that will kind of make it even better for the fans.
Well, I've taken a lot of your time, Maka, but a couple more things for you. First thing is a story going back to 2000 and I can't remember, somewhere in the 15s, 16s maybe. Anyway, we are on day 3 for East of Scotland. Day 3 or day 4, East of Scotland County Week, Division 3, I believe. And we're playing the North of Scotland. Maka and I are the East of Scotland. We're playing the North. And we walk into the clubhouse, and sitting down having a wee scone and a cup of tea was Jamie Murray.
This is 2018.
2018. There we go.
That was your last time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I need to get back in shape. But Jamie was sitting there, and he decided to show up to play for the North against the East. I do believe he won a couple matches, but I think the East got it done. And then I believe the East of Scotland played the North of Scotland at County Week this year in Division 1. How did that one go, Maka?
That was a nail-biting 5-4 win for the East, which probably was a relegation decider in the end. The North, unfortunately for them, went down. But I mean, that apart from sort of inter-county rivalry stuff, like that's the first time last 2 years. The first time there's been two Scottish teams in Division One of County Week, so that was great. But obviously, we still have the bragging rights after last couple of years, which is nice.
A lot of healthy competition. Just
but I
so
should
everyone
say,
knows.
while we're on the topic, and if there are anyone involved in college tennis listening across the pond, that it is 100% worth letting your players play County Week if they ask. If you did County Week 20 times a year, it would be absolute insanity. But as a 1 week, it is worth more than any futures or any training week. It's an unbelievable place to compete, to play different styles, to put yourself under pressure, to kind of just play a ton of doubles, have a great team environment,
Yes,
and chuck yourself around on the grass a bit.
yes. Well, if you don't know Ali Mack, he definitely does chuck himself around on the grass. Last thing, back to Jamie.
Yeah.
Goals for the end of the year. Sorry, hasn't played in a minute. Goals, expectations. Can he still get back up to where he was? How are you?
I mean, it's an interesting moment for him because I mean, obviously, he's a lot closer to the end of his career than the start. And it's kind of in his mind like when he'll stop. I think his summer was tough because he got sick. He got pneumonia just after Wimbledon.
Right.
So he didn't really play at all up till US Open, and then played US Open with no preparation, which was really tough for him. And then he didn't go to Asia, just with various issues with his health and partner ranking, stuff like that. So he's got quite a lot of points to defend for the rest of the year, and I think it's quite a big moment for him, like whether he'll kind of be able to defend those, what's possible for him, because if he finishes the year without defending them, then his ranking will be in a tough spot. But he's got a lot of stuff going on outside of his kind of playing career. Like he's tournament director at Queen's, and he's got quite a few other things going on when he's back in London. So whatever he decides to do, I'm sure he'll land on his feet. But it'd be lovely to think he could kind of have one last shot at a few of these big tournaments that he's kind of excelled at in the past, without having any sort of issues around health or partners, ranking, stuff like that.
Got it. Well, the last thing I want to leave you with, Macca, is we're going to come to an agreement on this call. And this is what's going to happen. If you are able to set up a golf match with you and I versus the Murray brothers at a nice course down there in East Lothian, I promise you I will get myself in shape, if selected, and compete for the East of Scotland one more time. County Week.
I was going to come to this. Like I was going to say, when you mentioned, we were talking about that last time you were there. Like I actually feel bad for you that you spent all that time grinding with us in those other divisions, and now we've been in Division 1 for 5 years in a row, the Holy Grail, the Promised Land, and you've not been there with us. So there's always an open invitation to get out there. So yeah, I'll do my best. I mean, you've got a few contacts in East Lothian, haven't you? You might be able to provide the course if I can provide the opposition.
Yes, the course will be there. We will have a 36-hole challenge.
I'm not sure they'll come. I'm not sure they'll come to play against me because I'm rubbish. But if we can find a ringer of some sort for you to play with, then I'll caddy.
Johnny Barr will play. He'll be ready.
No, but he's useless as well. So he just talks a massive game.
Anyway,
yeah, we'll find something.
Sorry, everyone, that took so long, but hopefully that was beneficial to you. It's not only good to do these podcasts and conversations in relation at times to obviously UTR, but also to catch up with people and communicate with people that I don't see that often is why I'm doing it, is to have real conversations and to genuinely have fun when we're talking. So, Maka, I really appreciate your time. All the best the rest of the year with Jamie, and I will see you soon.
James, thanks so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's fun to talk doubles, and hopefully I can make you stick to that promise that you just made to me. See you next year in Eastbourne.
Cheers, mate.
Yeah. Cheers, James.